All right, welcome to Between Sundays. I'm Beth Ortiz.
And I'm Tim Beck.
And today I keep saying we're really excited. I guess maybe we're excitable people.
Maybe.
I actually don't know that that's...
Easily
amused. That actually might be. We are easily amused people.
We hope that you
which
are
might
amused.
Say sad things about our lives.
Well.
I mean, I don't really know. But today we are going to be talking about the importance of changing. As a disciple individually and collectively as a faith community. So, Tim, do you love to change who you are? Because I would love to make some suggestions.
Thank you. I like the idea of change more than I like change. Let's just be honest here.
That's interesting. You like the idea of change?
Of course.
I think I actually might like change more than I like the idea of change.
Really? Does that make you anxious?
So if we're thinking about changing, right, like the idea of it, well, then I've got to think about it and like make plans and things versus like if things just change, they change.
I would just much rather hang out up here.
I'm just game to go.
In the clouds, just thinking about how things could be better or different.
That sounds tedious.
Oh, it's great.
I would just rather change.
Until you actually have to do the work. It's hard. Change is hard. There we go. Episode over.
Change is hard. Shocking statement from Tim Beck.
But we're going to have a special guest today to talk about change.
We are. Ed Fashbaugh is joining us and to talk about change. He was deeply passionate about change.
Very, very much so.
And actually, I would say a very good example, a model of a seasoned person.
Right.
Because we can't call him old, right? A seasoned person who still changes. And actually, I think a very key attribute of his discipleship and servant leader is his ability to change.
Right. Good thing to learn about. Oh, let's just dig into a top 10 list.
A top 10. That was a shocker for everybody who's seen any of these before.
Right.
You were like, what?
What is happening?
Let's just do a top 8.
Right.
Just top 8.
The top 8 doesn't make any sense.
I believe one of these we did a top 9. But that was an accident.
That's fine. All right,
we can't count.
These are the top 10 church email subject lines that cause anxiety.
So let's assume that these are all coming from your clergy.
Oh.
I think that just to have like the clear line, because otherwise if these are just spammy, I'm just ignoring all of them. So this is coming directly to you.
Ooh, from
your clergy. Number 10, urgent in caps. Please read.
Now, I feel like we have to have a reminder here that if you get that message from your pastor, you need to make sure that that's actually your pastor and not some like prince from across the globe who's trying to swindle you out of a couple $1,000s.
That is true. If it says that your pastor is someplace you know your pastor is not, don't assume that your pastor is there.
Held captive somewhere.
Or just like stuck in Kroger with no money.
Yes.
I recently got one from the bishop that was not from the bishop about that he needed. So also, told me he couldn't talk to me because he's in spiritual retreat. He just needed some money for his spiritual retreat, for when you got to pay God for access.
Listen, we just created a PSA. The more you know.
Yeah.
Okay, number 9, top 10 church email subject lines that cause anxiety from the SPRC chairperson. Does that cause anxiety?
Like if it
maybe if you're a staff person, I guess.
I mean, I think it depends on the season. If it's this time, if
you're a pastor and it's like in February, March, April, you might be getting.
Okay.
All right, go ahead.
So number 8, from the pastor to anyone before Sunday. ... And let's be honest, this is typically going out Saturday at 9 p.m.
Oh yeah.
And yes, this always leads to anxiety.
Right.
Pastors don't send that email.
All right. Number 7, thoughts? ?
Oh, see, that's a different kind of anxiety than the other one. So that's like, I don't want to give you lame thoughts, right? Like, I don't want to give you the dumb idea.
Right. Nobody wants to give the dumb idea.
Yeah.
Actually, some people like giving dumb ideas, I think.
Is that you? That would make a lot more sense of some of our conversations.
Shots fired.
That is, yeah. That was just a nice little drive-by there, in case you didn't see that coming.
But see, if people don't know that their ideas are dumb,
now Tim's
doesn't cause any anxiety.
I just like everybody on this to note that Tim is meaner than I am. Number 6. Just checking in.
Does that cause anxiety?
I think, okay, I'm going to be honest. So, and this isn't an email, but it's a phone call. So once I had
Who calls people?
Oh, well, it was an H thing, but I had a district superintendent call me a couple times and just to check in. I have never had such an anxiety feel because every time I assumed something else was, I assumed this was a lie.
Okay,
and that something else was coming every single time. He really was just calling to check in.
I would never
he
put
really
that
just
in the
was
subject line.
a nice. I put it all the time.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, I do that in the body
I just
of
want,
the
because I
email.
want to be clear, I'm not wanting anything from you.
Okay.
I'm just checking in.
Maybe I should try that.
Yeah.
But I do include that in the body of the email quite often.
All right.
I think people appreciate it.
I
hope so.
I hope so. I mean, you never
number-
send it to me, just to be clear.
Right. Well, I don't need to
how
check
I'm
in with
doing.
you. You're probably doing okay, I hope. So
Yeah. See how it is, though? You don't know.
Number 5. Can you call me? Okay, if you're sending an email telling someone to call them,
I sent that email just the other day, actually. No, it was to my spouse.
you
But
send an email to your spouse to tell him to call you?
I wanted to see if my phone was taking calls.
Oh, okay. Well,
I mean, so-
if you don't drop your phone in toilets, you
Or
worry
on
about
the
that.
floor, or I have a problem with holding things, apparently. They just kind of fly.
Yeah, all right.
That's, yeah. So,
4.
yeah. So sometimes I have to email people to ask them to call me to see if
Gotcha.
it works.
Okay.
All right. Number 4, important update. Yeah, I'm going to be honest. That is always anxiety producing, especially I think it is the closer it is to Sunday, because you assume the closer you've like narrowed that. So it's like, I'm just telling you right before this blows up.
Oh, yeah.
Like, just important update before Sunday.
Oh, yeah,
All
I
of
can
our
see that.
boilers broke.
Or if it's from
And-
like the tech team on a...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and then in that case, it's just like confusing. Right?
Yeah,
Like
'cause something's
5
gonna
mics
change.
don't work.
Right.
Don't move your head with this lapel mic.
All right, number 3. We need to talk.
Yeah, actually, I do think that's pretty true. I mean, I think that
That would definitely cause anxiety, I
Yeah.
think. And especially if it was to like a Gen Z, Gen Alpha, like, first of all, they probably don't email much, but they don't talk. They just want to text. So,
I mean, but texting is talking.
well, in their context, they do think that texting is talking.
I think texting is talking, and I'm neither of those two things.
Okay, well, there you go.
This is my preferred way to communicate.
Again, the more you know.
Yeah. All right. Number 2, following up. ... I think that's most concerning when you have no idea what they're following up from. Like when it's like, oh wait, what now?
So there's like an anticipation when you open the email.
Yeah, like they're following up on something, and you have no recollection of why you would be
Right.
following up.
Right. And the number 1 reason to cause anxiety when you open a church email is when it says in the subject line, quick question.
Which is never accurate.
No, it's usually a long...
I mean, maybe occasionally. But actually, when I think they're quick questions, then I typically get long responses, and then I'm very confused because I thought I asked a yes or no question.
Yeah.
Like, is there coffee? Is actually very rarely a quick answer. So,
You know what the best subject line in an email would be? Is if it said, staff meeting canceled, all of the information you need to know is in the body of this email.
I do not, in general, mind a meeting canceled
Yeah.
email headline. Yeah.
All right.
Or
Those
like-
are things that we can hope for, right?
That would be a good change.
Maybe
So
we
we're
should
talking about change
talk
today.
about change
Not all
more.
change is bad. Some
Right.
is good, like your meeting being canceled because it was supposed to be an email in the first place. So with that, soon we'll be joined by Ed and having some more conversation. All right, we are very excited now. I keep saying very excited. I need to find other words, but I
Use
just
that
really
phrase.
am. Yeah. That Ed Fashbaugh has joined with us for this conversation on change. So, first of all, Ed, do you want to tell us who you are and what you do?
Sure. I'm Ed Fashbaugh. I'm the executive director, I guess, of Connectional Ministries in East Ohio.
Just to be clear, are you sure? You felt like a question mark.
You know,
on
I always
executive.
struggle because it's such a long title. I wish,
Yeah.
you know,
Actually, we've
been
been doing title word counts, and you are nowhere close, sir.
really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, for short, it's just DCM.
DCM.
We do. It's more acronyms. We really do love some acronyms.
We do.
Yeah.
It's very Methodist.
Yeah.
So it's nice to be with you
DCM,
guys.
Donut Counter Monitor. That's what I think that
Oh.
stands for.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what does
Right.
what does the DCM do though?
Well, the according to the Book of Discipline, the role of DCM is to steward the conference vision, which I always thought is a great idea because stewarding means you're guiding something that's not yours, which gives you such freedom because you don't have to you take ownership of guiding it, but you don't have to say, this is the way it has to be. You kind of help shepherd it along. And I think that's a good place to be because then you align resources in the conference to help them with that mission. And that's the primary role. And it's the one I really kind of focused on because the idea of stewarding is sort of like being a shepherd. You know, shepherds, when they were out in the field, didn't watch over their own sheep. They were hired hands. and they were taking care of other people's property. And so they stewarded the sheep. They were the ones that took, went against the bear, against the wolf, the lion, and they protected the sheep. And I don't see this as a protected role, but I do see it as one of aligning and guiding something that isn't mine. I don't own it, but I have the privilege of guiding it.
Wow, I wish you'd thought of that,
That was
like ever. I mean,
very
have
eloquent.
you ever considered like writing that down or anything? Just curious. It felt like off the cuff, like you just made that up.
Well, it could be just off the cuff. It kind of changes different as we talk.
Speaking of
different
change.
settings.
Yeah, of change. And
Oh,
I mean,
no.
I think in stewardship
Perfect.
in general, stagnant stewardship, I don't really think is a thing. So I think that is a good pivot into our conversation. And what we're talking about is how change is an essential attribute to being a disciple, both individually and collectively. So I'm just going to ask you both first, why is that statement I just made true? And, why? So is change an attribute of a disciple, and why or why not?
To be a disciple is to change.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if I would call it an attribute as just a guiding principle, what it means to be a disciple. You cannot be in a relationship with Jesus, with others, and not be changed. I guess you can, but you won't experience the fullness of what it's about.
Was it the very invitation to becoming a disciple of Jesus
Yes.
asks us to repent and believe. And if we're going to repent, that will translate as a change in direction. So change has to be a part of a disciple's life. It doesn't mean that we always fully embrace it, but it should be at the core.
Just even not to get all Greek on you, but the word repentance, metanoia, for the word for repentance, that simply means to change direction.
Here we go. Look at this guy.
Well, I'm going to get all Wesleyan on you. And I
Oh.
would think that sanctifying grace really is a process of ongoing of change as we are responding to Jesus and this relationship throughout the rest of our earthly lives. So certainly, I think that's just seems really true. And I don't know that many people would disagree with that. So why then, people say the church resists change. And if we individually believe change is important, what are your thoughts on this idea that the church resists change?
Well, yeah, I'm not convinced that they do resist change. Every time there's a new pastor, there's change. Every time a new pastor comes, they're bringing a new vision. They're bringing this sense that maybe not every clergy feels this way, but the church will say we need a leader, and so they come. They bring change. So churches over time, they've experienced change in worship styles and programs, technology, leadership traditions. And after a while, I think if we say churches resist change, and we've all been this long enough to know there is resistance to change, but maybe it's not resistance. Maybe what they're experiencing is fatigue. And so we have to, that's the thing where we have to discern, decipher, is change a matter of our resistance to it, fatigue? Is it because we've come up against brick walls? We've been promised that if we make this change or that change, in any area of our life, somehow we'll be in nirvana, and we've come by lived experience to realize, no, we may change, but things around us haven't changed a lot. And so that makes us a little bit more leery of having to go through a whole new set of changes in church.
I think for me sometimes too, maybe we've not actually done some of our groundwork, communication and holy conferencing around change. And so sometimes change can feel decreed. And then I think if it's not the change, if I'm not invested in making the change, I just think of when I first got married, my husband thought I should change some things. I disagreed. They did not get changed. But then we learned how to be in relationship together, and kind of grow and change together. So I think sometimes too, what can feel like resistance to change maybe means a vision hasn't actually been cast that grabs everyone's attention correctly, or maybe actually even the change we're asking sometimes is not the right change. Maybe we've not stewarded the local church vision as well, and it's more personal preference driven.
Yeah, I don't think you change just for change's sake, but what is that vision, the preferred future that maybe we see, or whoever the vision caster is? If they're not sharing that eloquently enough for people to grab a hold of it, to feel like I can be a part of this change, there's probably going to be some barriers.
Yeah, and I think clergy, when they come to a new church, they're under an awful lot of pressure because churches want to be vital. They want to grow. They want to get back to what they perhaps used to be, or at least have that image of it. And I think that urgency or that feeling of pressure causes perhaps sometimes clergy are pressing for changes that haven't looked at the entire scope or haven't communicated, but to their benefit, they hear we need something different. We want to be different. We want to grow. And then when a clergy brings something that changes, they go, oh, we didn't mean that kind of growth. It's like I've never been in a church that didn't want to reach young people, but I've been in a lot of churches that may struggle to do the kinds of things that would be not just attractive to young people, but would really be a place that would be a place of formation for young people.
So I do think, though, on the other side, I think there's some who might feel like, but we've changed dozens of times that you asked us to do a particular program or you asked us to do this and we have changed and we've changed, but nothing's changed as far as like the trajectory of our faith together, and maybe our individual faith is still strong, but our faith community feels like it's shrinking or up against pressure. So, I mean, I just wonder what you think. If it feels like we're always changing, but nothing changes, then why change?
Sure. And Beth and Tim, you both know I'm kind of into wellness.
Just a little bit.
Oh, really?
Just a little
Never
bit.
heard.
That's like is that the biggest understatement we've made in this entire
Yeah,
web
but they
series?
don't do that.
They don't know that. That's right.
You're about to find out. Blah, blah, blah.
In wellness teaching, or when people are struggling with it, they'll say, I've done this, I've done that, I've changed my diet, I've exercised, and I'm not getting the changes that I want. I've done everything right and nothing changes. Why even do this anymore? I'm sacrificing this and not seeing that. And I think that what happens is that, it's so often people are switching diets, but switching diets doesn't equal transformation. And just because we change things doesn't mean there's going to be transformation. And one of the challenges that we have is we have an awful lot of shame in our culture. So people feel shame if they can't, if they're not losing weight, they think something's wrong with them. If they're not getting more physically fit or their wellness isn't improving, they take that personally. I'm broken. And we know, Beth, that this is not the case. People are not broken. We just haven't found what it is that's going to unlock that wellness for them. Churches, I think, are exactly the same thing. Churches can feel shame. Oh, we've done all this, and look at us. We're still not reaching people. We did what the youth pastor consultant said, and we're still not reaching youth. We're terrible. Something's wrong with us. And that's the thing I think congregations and clergy, we all need to know. Clergy, you're not broken if the church isn't moving the way that you think they should go. Church, you're not broken if you're not going, if things aren't changing. It's that we need to do that deeper work of formation where true transformation happens. Because I think what we're looking for is sustainable change. Sustainable change. Cosmetic change in the church, whether it's a new program or a new worship service, if we had that cosmetic change without spiritual formation, it's rarely going to produce lasting fruit.
Yeah.
It's the same thing of being on a commercial diet. I believe most commercial diets will lead to weight loss, but they will not lead to sustainable lifestyle changes. And so we find ourselves right back where we were before. So the key is to find that formation, whatever it is, that's going to help us sustain lifestyle changes for the long distance.
Well, what about like in our culture? Because sometimes we have to just recognize that the culture at large has changed and constantly changes. And then sometimes from a faith perspective, we are still relying on old methods, maybe old diets, whatever we want to use, and expecting it to work the way it worked 20 years ago, 30 years ago. How, as disciples, do we navigate an ever-changing culture?
I think that's a great question.
Thanks.
It really is. And one of the things I've found in wellness teaching is that when people have knowledge, they have at least the information they need to make choices.
Okay.
Sometimes, again, the way we tell churches you got to change. You got to come up with the culture.
Yeah.
It's not like it once was. Well, that doesn't compute real well. It makes people defensive. It creates shame. It makes people feel like they're somehow less than because they're obviously not with it. And so really we begin with formation again. How do we help people understand how Jesus is calling us to be the people of God in this moment? One of the things that I'm going to say is, Beth, you and I are working on, there's some work we're doing studying Wesley. And Wesley, he impacted the church in the generation in which he lived. Now, that impact may not have outlasted him, but that's the issue. We all have to find within our time frame, within our generation, what is it that we need to change in order to communicate this incredible message that Jesus has entrusted us with to steward. Right.
Actually, I think that's a really good word to kind of wrap up this part on. And, certainly we know change isn't always fun. For some people it is, but for some it is not. And so just a reminder, one of the things we would love to do in the Office of Discipleship, and I'll say from Connectional Ministries as well, is to walk alongside you as you explore changes and where you're being called into that. But before we let you go, Ed, we do have another section we would like you to join us on. And we've given Ed no pre-warning on this. So right now he likes us a lot.
Yeah.
All right. So this is just a lighter thing to end us on here. And it's called 10-second solutions. So I'm going to give you both a scenario and you guys just have to tell me right off the bat, what would you do to fix this in the church? So this is like rapid fire change, I guess, in some ways. So service is in the process of starting and you realize you don't have your sermon.
Oh, that's easy. Talk about Jesus.
I was going to say wing it.
I spend because honestly, I've been here. This has happened to me. So I spend the beginning of the service writing down everything I can remember about it. And then I left my sermon someplace. So, okay. You realize that there's a cat living in the organ.
Oh, yes, that's easy. Open a can of tuna fish.
And do what with the cat?
And I find a cat and find it in a nice home.
Up north or somewhere else? just checking.
Cats aren't friendly with me, so I'll let Ed handle that one.
Okay, that is so. Again, a situation I've been through. We trapped it, and it had a nice life.
On a farm somewhere.
On an actual farm somewhere,
sure.
not up north
you.
somewhere. Yeah, it was okay. So it's potluck time, and the potluck is all desserts and pickles.
What kind of pickles?
All kinds. It's a lot of pickles, a lot of desserts, but that is it.
So, as a pastor, it's in a difficult situation. Everything on that table is likely not good for your wellness. However, you have a lot of people invested that you'll try something. So I think I would take one for the team. I'll take a little bite of several things and ooh and ah, how delicious it is.
I'll just take some pickles and just indulge.
I think this is where I convince everybody that this was the theme of it, actually. It was pickles and pies. And I'm just so glad that they all adhered
Pickles
to
and
it.
pies, your
Pickles
next
and pies.
fundraiser.
Yeah, because we do need some alliteration.
Right.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, so you're in the beginning of worship and you realize that none of the worship slides are from this week.
Turn off the projector. Don't need it. Go old school.
Absolutely. Shut it down.
Yeah, 100%.
I like that, actually. I prefer the old school. Like, we don't need screens all the time.
Wow, way to sound like a super old man. We don't need screens in here.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Get off my lawn.
Way to change, Tim.
Right.
All right, okay.
Get with the times.
Right.
All right, one final one.
All right, good.
Prayer concerns are going long and getting way too far into their surgery details.
If you hand someone a microphone, you're taking that risk, so tough luck.
I would, yes, if you haven't set up some kind of guidelines ahead of time, you just got to do whatever is happening. Once that person gets done, you have to intervene before the next person and say, time for prayer.
Before we start comparing surgery scars?
Yes,
is that what you're suggesting?
Yeah,
I got to admit, I'll just let that one ride as well and just sit there and think to myself, watch your face. Make sure your face doesn't say anything too much about what's happening. I spend a lot of time thinking about watch my
your
face.
facial expressions?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm told they're not friendly. Okay. So that's good to know. So
you're smiling right now, so that's
you're
good.
Doing well.
I've thought a lot about it. That's good. I pretend a lot.
That's all you got, though?
That's all
good.
I've got.
That's all you got.
Yeah, we don't have anything else.
I think it's good.
But we do want to thank you, Ed, for being with us. And again, we're just really delighted to be on this journey with all of you. And we'll see you for another episode in the future of Between Sundays.